Senator Ed Markey, Democrat from Massachusetts, member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, your reaction to the president's statement earlier today?
The president has to tone it down. We're dealing with a very dangerous situation. The North Koreans already have nuclear weapons. We have nuclear weapons. When he is talking about unleashing a fury, unleashing a power that has never been seen before, well, that brings us back to August of 1945 when nuclear weapons were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And if he intends on exceeding that level of power, then I'm afraid that we could see a confrontation here that slips quickly out of control as the president continues to talk about a military option, which would never be successful, instead of urgent diplomacy, which he's been avoiding for 6 months, and which absolutely has to be engaged in right now and immediately in order to de-escalate this confrontation.
What do you say to those who say that the six-party talks in the latter years of the Bush administration didn't significantly arrest or at least stop the development of these weapons, that the Obama administration's posture of strategic patience didn't stop it either? So this kind of escalation, at least rhetorically, might have some effect where others have failed.
Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado and I have introduced bipartisan legislation which would tighten the sanctions on North Korea to an extent that a do not do business sign would be on their country's back. We need to do that, pass even tougher sanctions, and go to the table at the same time, saying to China and Russia that if you do business with North Korea, if you help their economy at all, then we're going to sanction you as well, because this is an existential threat to the United States, and we want to find a diplomatic resolution of it and not a military resolution of it. And we need to tighten the economic sanctions in order to get North Korea to respond in a way that it has not done so yet.
Is it your understanding that the president's message today was sort of vetted and developed as a intentional signal, or do you interpret it as essentially improvised?
I hope that there's a plan behind it, but you can never tell with a man who tweets incessantly and thoughtlessly. But nonetheless, the response from North Korea is not one which seems to indicate that they're afraid. And that's, I think, what our greatest concern should be, because that is what was happening during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. It was just slipping slowly but surely out of control until both sides began to talk. That is how that issue got resolved. Talking is not weakness. Talking is strength. And the president must come to realize that, because a military option is not something that can be used, because it would lead to hundreds of thousands or millions of deaths.
A lot of people are trying to assess where we are right now. If 10 is actual nuclear war and the Cuban Missile Crisis was, say, 9, which is probably about as close as the world came, there have been some other close calls, where do you think we are right now?
I think we're inside of the modern-day Cuban Missile Crisis.
You really think that right now?
We have a country with nuclear weapons that can be aimed at our 29,000 troops in the demilitarized zone, that can be aimed at 25 million South Koreans within a 30-mile radius of the demilitarized zone. Absolutely. If this is not handled properly and it escalates out of control, we could cross a tripwire that we can't even see right now and begin an engagement that turns military and then escalates out of our control very quickly.
All right, Senator Ed Markey, thanks for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.